The Hole in the Ground is a brand new 2019 A24 horror flick from Ireland, and it is a movie that I was supposed to see all the way back on January 31st when it was exclusively released to DirecTV. I actually had a DirecTV account through my father back then. I thought, all right, it's an exclusive. It'll be on there. I can watch it. Went to go watch it, and they wanted $11 to rent it. And I was like, wait, I have to have a membership to DirecTV, which is like $100 a month for like the package. Like the cheapest package I think was like $80, $60, something insane. And I was like, wow, because cable's out of control. I mean, who has cable these days? And so when I had the account, I was like, oh, sweet, it'll be on there. It'll be part of their, video on demand, whatever. Wasn't $11, and I was like, fuck that, I'm not paying that. And then it kind of became like a principal thing, and then it just kind of kept getting pushed further and further back for me. And then I just noticed today it was on Amazon Prime, so here we go. I got to watch it tonight, and I will say this: I found this movie to be really, really intriguing for a second viewing. The thing that didn't work about the movie for me is, I felt like the pacing was a little off. Like there was this atmospheric build that was trying to happen, and I never really got invested in the atmosphere of the film. Like something was lacking in the horror side of this. Even though it was atmospheric, the atmosphere wasn't landing for me, if that makes sense. Also, I wasn't as engaged as I would have liked, and I think a reason, like a couple of reasons why, would be the like fake outs. There's a couple of them in here, and you know how much I hate those. But at the same time, what's weird is I feel like they might be justified after the ending of the film, because the end of the film came, and it really kind of clicked for me, like everything that was going on and all the things that might have been going on, and how that this was more of a psychological thriller, maybe, or maybe it was a monster movie, or maybe it was, and it was an ending where I was really interested to go back and rewatch it, thinking about, wow, okay, now that I know this through this lens, what's going to happen? And I really, really, really liked the ending. Like when it happened, they were about to fade to black, and I was like, oh man, I hope they fade to black here. I hope we cut to credits here, because that's going to be, something to ponder, something to debate, something to discuss for people who have seen the film. And I was just like, oh shit, wow, okay. That's something, huh? Cool. I dig that. And I thought the movie had ended maybe 20, 30 seconds before that. And I was like, okay, I guess. That was fine. And then they tacked on like an extra 30 seconds, and then it ended in a certain way. And I was like, oh, wow. Which actually has really hurt other films for me. Can't remember what movie it was. It was something kind of similar-ish, actually, to this one. What was that movie called? But at the end of the movie, there was something where like there was like a tree and a babysitter, and she went out and she swore that the kid in the movie had been replaced and whatnot. The way that movie ended, like last second, like the credits rolled and I was like stoked, and then like it did like a post-credit sequence maybe like 1 second after the directed by, and it was for like maybe 2 to 5 seconds, and it completely ruined the movie for me. That's happened. I was like, wait, what? You just took everything away that you said? Fuck you. I didn't even give a plot synopsis. Essentially, it's just a woman with a kid, and she is trying to start a new life in some backwoods type town. And while she's there, her kid goes missing one night, and when her kid comes back, she starts to suspect something is not right. That's about as much as I want to say about that. But yeah, like, I feel like this is fairly similar to like The Babadook, but nowhere near as good. It's still very intriguing though. like I do feel like this film would serve really well from a second viewing and a discussion with friends, because I do think there's a lot to this movie. I feel like there is a decent amount to explore with this main character here, the main lead woman, and the kid as well, because you could interpret this a few different ways, really. And for me, all of them are like, oh shit, especially one of them, especially one interpretation when it ties into the ending and how we know it plays out. I was sitting there like, oh man, that's tough. That's tough. I can't say what it is, but I was sitting there like, oh man, I feel bad right now. Like, shit, that's a tough situation. Um, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, it's a slow burn, psychological thriller horror. There's definitely horror elements. It kind of goes monster movie a little bit at times. Um, as far as like the hole in the ground itself, you're there's a you don't really obviously know what's going on in there, and I don't feel like it's ever fully explained. I think that this is an Irish folklore story of fairies. If I'm remembering correctly, did I say membering? Yeah, member berries. Um, but yeah, I dug this one. I did dig this one. I didn't love it. I was comparing it to the Babadook at times. It's a woman with her kid, and she's frantic, and she's kind of feeling like she's losing her mind, and this and that. So, and there's some monster elements to it as well. We only see him for like a couple seconds here, but it's weird because I have so many positives in my head with the film that I feel like I should love it. But when I was watching it, I wasn't loving it. I was kind of bored a little bit. But as it ended, I was really looking back on all the events of the film, everything that had actually transpired if I was to take the key elements of the movie. And I was like, I really liked that. And I really liked that. And I feel like this kind of ties into this. I guess it's just presentation was what wasn't working for me. It's like the slower pacing of the movie kind of interrupted the flow of the atmosphere, maybe. Because the atmosphere was there, but it wasn't rich. It wasn't thick. It wasn't ever present. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was lacking. Like I just feel like in maybe tighter editing or better direction, maybe different sound design, music, something's missing here from this movie. And I feel like this movie, maybe on another viewing, I'll be like, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I thought this movie was great. But I went and I looked at just kind of the general consensus all down the board. And almost every review I saw was like a 6 or a 7. And every one of them was like, almost great, pretty good, but misses the mark on something. Something's missing. I was just kind of going down. I wasn't reading any of the reviews, but I was just kind of just scrolling up, and it was almost across the board the same thing, just kind of how I'm feeling. So I can't really put my finger exactly on what that is, but if I had to blame it on anything, I just think that the pacing's off. It does meander. It doesn't, it's not always entertaining. It's not always creepy and effective. Like there's lulls, and the lulls break the atmosphere for me. Even though the atmosphere is there, it just kind of trails off. And then it comes back, and then it kind of trails off. And with these kinds of movies, you need that like constant build of atmosphere and dread. And as it like culminates and climaxes, it should just be like this big punch. And with the ending how it is, I felt like it was not a gut punch, because you don't really, I don't want to say anymore because that's going to be spoilery, I think. But there you go. A fairly confused review for a fairly confused reviewer. But I did dig it. I think if you're into slower burn movies like this, and you're if you're a fan of like the Babadook, if you're something like that, absolutely check this out. Good time. Just misses the mark, and maybe you can explain it to me what's missing. I don't know. So let me know. Adios.